The hell is going on here? Where the hell have you guys been? I mean, come on, guys. Come on. Somebody's got to carry their weight around here. I feel like I haven't done a show since 2007. I feel like that's the last time I've done a show on YouTube. What is going on, everybody? Thank you very much for tuning in. Just turned 8 a.m. Thursday, May 22nd. Last live show I did was on Monday. What the hell am I doing? Get my life in order here. All right, we got a lot to catch up on. I got hit, man. I got hit with, I don't know what is going on. I don't know what kind of flu is going on. I don't know what is going on. But basically floored. What I've already done this morning, I feel like just to even sit here is as productive as I've been over the last 72 hours. So this is the best I got. The fact that I just showed up to work, it might be the best that I got today. Thank you very much for hanging out. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. All right, we got a lot to catch up on. I do have a quote for everybody. I do have a rundown that I want to get for everybody as well. You know, it's different when you're doing your own thing and you're doing your own podcast. You can't just have, you got to be here every time. I got to be here every morning. Last couple of days, I was struggling. I'll give you guys some details on it. I mean, not like crazy details, but I'll let you know. All right. Let's get the quote here. I got a quote real quick I want to share with everybody. Anything in life worth having is worth working for. Anything in life worth having is worth working for. Okay, so I got all these topics to the left here. Before I get into the actual topics, let me just say real quick. So, yeah, my bad these last couple of days. I got some kind of flu, cold. I don't know what the hell it was. I couldn't get out of bed. I was just basically, let's just say I watched a lot of TV, a lot of YouTube over these last couple of days. Let's put it that way. Couldn't move. And I'm not really a medicine guy. I'm not taking many meds. So I was trying to fight the good fight. But, you got to mix in a Theraflu there every once in a while, one of those bad boys. Let's just say I was I didn't go very far these last couple of days. Yeah, sometimes you want to be active, you get your steps in and all that stuff, maybe go for a jog or something like that. Yeah, I didn't do that. I basically ate and watched TV for about 3 straight days. All right, let me give everyone a quick rundown of the show. Give everyone a quick idea what we're doing for the show today, and then we'll get things started. By the way, if you guys got a quote you guys want to share with everybody, feel free to do so. Cheers to everybody here. Good morning to you. What am I drinking this morning? I got tea. I did coffee. I did a little bit of coffee. That's when you know you're sick. If you're a coffee drinker and you're not in the mood for coffee, you know something's wrong. Tuesday morning, I woke up. I'm like, I don't want coffee. I can't have coffee. That's when you know, all right, something's off here. If you're a coffee person and you don't want coffee, you know you're not feeling good. All right, let me give everyone a quick rundown of the show. We'll kind of get things started from that perspective. I got some NBA catching up to do. So Pacers obviously stun the New York Knicks yesterday. This is 3 completely different comebacks that the Indiana Pacers have had in the playoffs. Just absurd comebacks. This time they do it in the Eastern Conference Finals in Game 1 at obviously at the Madison Square Garden. We'll talk a little bit about what the Pacers have been able to do. You know, it's funny. The more I'm watching the playoffs, the more I'm kind of starting to like Tyrese Haliburton. Does somebody want to explain to me why other players don't like him, or what was he? He was voted most overrated player or something along those lines. So I'll spend a little bit of time on that. SGA wins the MVP. Give the man his credit. He deserves all the credit. Team finished with 68 wins. He ends up winning the MVP. Phenomenal stats. I got a couple things with SGA after Game 1 that I want to complain about here real quick. What do the Timberwolves do? What kind of are going to be some of their adjustments, and why this series is wildly different than the first 2 series that they played? This is the first time that they're undersized or they don't have a size advantage. So obviously that's going to be a big issue for them. Luka, I saw something on Luka. Luka changing a lot about himself. I'll get into what exactly that means, but I also wanted to spend a little bit of time. I know Anthony Davis was in LA. He's wearing a Mavs hat. He's at the Lakers practice facility. Clutch has something that they're doing there. Clutch Sports has something that they're doing there. And Clutch Pro Day, I think is what it's called. What if the Luka and AD trade didn't happen? How far do you think the Lakers would have gone this year? I don't think anybody, really disagrees with the trade. I think most people, there's a reason why this trade was such shocking news. It's because nobody really thought Luka was going to get traded. So I want to propose, if AD and Max Christie stayed, how much further would the Lakers have gone? Would they have a shot at winning an NBA championship? Would, first round win and then it's over? Like, I'm just kind of curious. I want to play that out here so we can look at that. What else do I got here? Luka, 5-year projection for Luka. I'm just curious to get, I want to kind of play out here. What are the expectations for Luka as a Laker as he works on his body and everything else? LeBron's plans this summer. Brian Windhorst said something about it. And then since I sat and watched TV for the last 3 days, I'll tell you guys some of the things that I watched. I have some suggestions. If anybody's not feeling good and they want to just sit down and not do anything for a few days, come to me. I got some suggestions for you guys. I can share what to watch, why you should watch it, how many times you should watch it. I'll share everything. All right, I could do all that. All right, let me take a look at a couple of the comments here, and then we'll get the show started. Let's see what we got here. You take risks for success. I'm here to make sure there is nothing to risk. Okay. Man, I wish that last shot in the fourth by Tyrese Haliburton was a 3. Still cold-blooded, but I know what you're talking about here. Let's see what else we got here. Good morning. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, I'm good. I didn't do anything. I just literally sat around, did nothing. Not every closed door is locked. Push. I like that. It's a phenomenal quote right there. Let me see if I could find one more here, and then we'll get the show started. All right, some people already kind of starting to have that conversation. What if the trade didn't go down? How far would the Lakers go and everything else? Okay, so we'll get into that a little bit later. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you for being a part of the show. Please subscribe to the channel if you've yet to subscribe to the channel. Okay, let me start off first. We'll get into some of those Laker topics here in just a second. How good was last night's game? Pacers and the Knicks. I'm going to be honest with everybody. I thought the game was over. I turned it off. I tuned back in OT, in overtime. The Pacers at one point, here's where I turned away from the game. They were down 14 with 2 minutes and 51 seconds left on the clock. They were down 8 with about 40 seconds left after it might have been Karl Anthony Towns. Somebody got a bucket, and they were down 8. And, my mistake, because if you watch the Pacers this year, they've had some wild comebacks. I think they had the Game 5 versus the Bucks. That's the one where Tyrese Haliburton's dad came out and wanted to make sure Giannis knew that his son was Tyrese Haliburton. They had the Game 2 versus the Cavs, where I think they came back down 7, stunned the Cavs. That really just kind of ended the series for the Cavs. From that point on, it was all, obviously it was all Indiana from there. And then they had this comeback against the New York Knicks. What an incredible game. And honestly, what kind of an iconic moment. Here you got the Indiana Pacers taking on the New York Knicks. And it's funny, the last couple of days, I kept getting fed some of these old school Knicks and Pacers games from back in the 90s. That's my era of basketball. I would probably say that's my favorite era of basketball. That's when, I'm growing up and I'm watching Shaq and Kobe are just starting their connection. But think of all the greats. I mean, Jordan's doing what he's doing. Guys like Stockton and Malone and Hakeem Olajuwon and the San Antonio Spurs are starting to put together a championship squad. I mean, just the cream of the crop, in my opinion. The Charles Barkleys of the world. Go down the list of all the great players that are playing in the 90s. And I'm starting to get fed all this content that's Reggie Miller. I watched this yesterday too. It was one of the more iconic moments in the NBA, where the Knicks have a 6-point lead. They're taking on the Indiana Pacers. Reggie hits a 3, gets a steal, hits a 3. Starks misses 2 free throws at the line. Reggie gets the rebound. He gets fouled, hits 2 more free throws. And then I think it was Greg Anthony can't get a shot off, and that's it. The Pacers stun the New York Knicks. You watch that, and you got all these highlights that are kind of leading up to, they're trying to promote the Pacers and the Knicks, and they're trying to promote, look, there's some history here between these two franchises. You got the big lights of New York City. You got, Indiana, that's obviously a much smaller market. And you got this Pacers team that has kind of found a way to scratch and claw and figure out a way to get into the Eastern Conference Finals. And by the way, the same thing for the Knicks as well. Give them a lot of credit for getting to the East. They had to go through Boston while the Pacers had to go through Cleveland. These two teams going at it, and then you're watching the end of that game. And the way the Pacers come back, the fact that they got a shot at the end to tie the game up, and Tyrese Haliburton stepped back, thought he's hitting a 3, ends up hitting a 2, throwing the choke directly to the Knicks fans. Is that not taking you back to the 90s? I mean, paying tribute to Reggie Miller, who's a part of the broadcast. I mean, just the entire thing, the entire setup. One of the cooler moments, and you just kind of knew once that game went into overtime, you're like, yeah, Pacers are going to win this game. Knicks looked like they were stunned. The series isn't over. Obviously, it's just 1-0. But losses like this, they're much bigger than you think. I mean, it makes me think of how the Celtics blew 2 games against the New York Knicks when they were up 20 late. It makes me think of how the Cleveland Cavaliers never recovered after that Game 2 loss. Like, losses like that, stunners like that, you can't just give away games in the playoffs. But watching that whole thing unfold and seeing how it went down and making you kind of think back to the 90s of what the league was like, and just seeing a lot of crossover between those matchups back in the days and this matchup this time. Madison Square Garden is rocking. What a cool environment. What a cool vibe. Like, I don't have a dog in the fight, but I'm definitely rooting for the Indiana Pacers. I mean, that's just the reality. I think their story to me is more fascinating. I don't know what it is about Knicks fans, man. Like, I don't want to be annoyed by Knicks fans, but they're kind of annoying. And I'm not here to tell you that Laker fans aren't annoying. I'm not here to tell you that. I get it. Fan bases are annoying. But, a couple days ago, I don't know if you guys watched, I was going to do it on Tuesday, and I didn't get a chance to do it. But watching those Knicks fans throw the trash on that Pacers fan, I'm like, oh, yeah, no, we're definitely going for the Pacers in this one. Tyrese Haliburton jumps on with McAfee, comes on the show, ends up paying for the ticket for the guy. He's like, yep, you're coming to the game. It's kind of a cool story. I mean, obviously, if you look at the market size and everything else, you're kind of going for the underdog market in the Pacers over the Knicks. But, it's something about the Knicks fans. I mentioned this last time. I'm like, why are they having parades after getting to the Eastern Conference? They just got to the Eastern Conference Finals. They didn't win a championship. They're having parades outside. Come on, Knicks fans. What did I say before? I said that act like you've been there, and they're like, we would like to act like we've been there. We just haven't been there. It's been 50 plus years, so I get it. But what a game yesterday. What a really, really exciting game. And to see Tyrese Haliburton. Somebody want to explain this to me as well as we sit here and I shoot the shit a little bit. Why is there so much hate on Tyrese? Am I missing something about Tyrese Haliburton? Is there something that I don't know about Tyrese Haliburton? Because he was voted most overrated player in the NBA. I feel like does have hate come against him, but was part of the NBA or the USA Olympic team, and it feels like he's got a relationship with a lot of these players and is still in touch with them. Some of them motivating him, doing what he's doing. I've heard him talk about a couple of the players before. Why the hate on Tyrese? What am I missing about Tyrese Haliburton? Listen, he might not be the best player in the league, but 31-11, shot 62% from the field yesterday. Only 2 turnovers. I know the Pacers are clutch in clutch time. I was reading some stuff on this morning. He's been remarkably clutch. Don't forget the 2 games I was talking about. The Game 5 win that eliminated Milwaukee, it was Tyrese Haliburton who hit a shot that ended that game. The Game 2 win over the Cleveland Cavaliers, He hit a three after getting an offensive rebound to pretty much, kind of cap off that series against the Cavs as they went up 2-0. So I don't know what the hate is on Tyrese Haliburton, but as an outsider watching Tyrese, I got no issues with Tyrese Haliburton. I think he's clutch. I think he's fun to watch. I think his form is remarkably ugly, but what are you going to do? That's his form. All right, let me look at some of the comments here, and we'll keep things going here. Let's see what we got here. Slee, miss our Lakers. Good to hear from you. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. It's demoralizing. I think that's the right word. I think the demoralizing is how they lost that game yesterday. Demoralizing is the right way to put it. Right? Sometimes it's not just. I remember Michael Thompson used to always tell me this, and I don't know if I don't know if I fully understood it, but I think I understand it more. Michael used to always tell me, I'd rather lose a game by 30 than the way the Knicks lost yesterday. Not every loss is created equal, right? You might look at it and say, oh, well, it's only 1-0, so it doesn't matter how it was 1-0. No, there's context to it. There's definitely context to it. No way the NBA lets the Pacers win. Pacers OKC would cost the NBA billions. Can I tell you guys this? There's one thing I don't understand. One thing I don't understand. As people sit here and they try to, manipulate which markets are in the NBA finals and everything else. Okay, then don't give the Pacers an NBA team. If the league doesn't want the Pacers in the NBA finals, then just don't give them an NBA team. If they don't want Sacramento in the NBA finals, just don't give them an NBA team. If they don't want Phoenix or OKC or anything, just don't give those cities NBA teams. Like I every time I see people say, it would be the worst NBA finals because they're not big markets. What do you want? I don't understand what these other cities are supposed to do. Now, I will say, I think it has less to do with the market size. It has more to do with the type of players that are in the finals. I mean, if LeBron was playing for the Oklahoma City Thunder, maybe LeBron's a bad example, just this stage of his career. But when the Thunder were in the NBA finals with KD, James Harden, now they were taking on Miami, so that was a little bit different. But I just don't understand. And I don't think you're wrong that they don't want the Pacers and they don't want Oklahoma City in the NBA finals. But I have a difficult time understanding. I have a very difficult time understanding what then all these other teams that are not in the top 5 or 7 markets. Well, what do you want them to do? I don't really care. Market size, it doesn't mean anything to me. I'm completely okay with how it is. All right, let me see what else we got here. Knicks fans were feeling themselves till Haliburton humbled them real quick. All right, I got a quick something I don't understand towards ending games. Does somebody want to explain to me? And this has really got to stop in the NBA. And it's not that much different than if you watch the NFL or something along those lines. Somebody want to help explain something to me? When a team goes up 6 or 8 points and there's a minute left, why do they all of a sudden just stop playing defense? Why do they just stop playing defense? Giving up layups? We just don't want to foul. We don't want to foul. Why don't you just play defense? I mean, the Knicks completely, and I think there were some quotes in there saying that they took their foot off the gas. Obviously they took their foot off the gas. Obviously they all of a sudden just stopped playing. But does somebody want to explain to me why coaching staffs and everything else, it's like in the NFL, you got teams that go prevent defense and then all of a sudden they start giving up points. Why don't you just play till the game ends? So that way you don't have to put your squad in this position. But they play so much different than how they got the lead. And then they start looking up and are like, well, why are we losing the lead? Well, you're losing the lead because you're telling your team not to play any defense. The clock keeps stopping. Just play defense. Just go ahead and play defense. Layup after layup. Now, I know, was it Naismith that was hitting all those threes? I mean, it wasn't just Tyrese Haliburton. I mean, he obviously had some help, so give him a lot of credit as well. Kings are dumb for trading Tyrese Haliburton. Yeah, the Kings not exactly the best organization in the world, so let's we'll keep that at that. Knicks looking past the Pacers was bad, kind of like the Lakers in Game 5 BS against the Timberwolves. All right, let's keep things moving. If you guys got anything else, Haliburton likes provoking, but does back it up. I like that. That part's true. Yeah, if you're going to talk, you better be able to back it up. All right, if you guys got more thoughts on this game, feel free to throw it in. I'm going to just kind of continue to hit on some more of my topics here. But the Pacers, a big-time win over the Knicks. I guess I learned my lesson of not turning the game off before the game's over for the Indiana Pacers. It's 3 comebacks in the playoffs, all against different rounds. So in the first round and the second round, now in the Eastern Conference Finals, where just these iconic comebacks, you just don't come back. If you're down 7 with a minute left to go, you don't come back in games like that. I think, you know how they have the percentage chance of winning a game. I think I was reading something this morning. I think it was on the Ringer that was talking about 99.9% chance of the Knicks winning that game yesterday. Obviously, that doesn't happen. Okay, couple other things. We got another game coming up tonight. So Thunder taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Game 2 coming up tonight. So that's a tip-off at 5:30. So something to keep in mind. Minnesota trying to tie the series. Just real quick here on that series, even though this is less to do about the game, SGA wins the NBA MVP. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander earns his first NBA MVP award. Let's see what it says here. Shai finished runner-up last year. Let me just see as far as, a league-high 68 wins, not unanimous. Jokic ended up second, and I think I read here that Giannis ended up third. Here's what I was looking for. Shai received 71 of the 100 first-place votes in balloting, with Jokic getting the other 29 and finishing as the runner-up. Milwaukee Bucks star Giannis Antetokounmpo was third, getting 88 of the possible 100 third-place votes. So a couple other people on that list. Tatum was on that list. Donovan Mitchell was on that list. So you got a few others that at least were considered. So SGA wins the MVP. Give that man a lot of credit. I do got one beef with SGA. I was watching Game 1. Refs got to stop throwing this guy all these fouls. Oh my God. It was here's the thing. I hope SGA, and maybe he's already this player and I don't pay enough attention to him. I cannot stand players that just hunt for fouls. They're not trying to play the game of basketball. They're just trying to hunt for fouls. The problem with SGA is if the refs are giving you the calls, why are you going to stop trying to do it? You're going to continue to do it until, eventually, unless refs don't make those calls, you're going to continue to bait these referees into calling whatever contact is there or try to draw fouls. Game 1, especially in that first quarter, every possession SGA had, and I'm a fan of SGA. I don't want to not like SGA, but I'm watching him play. I'm like, SGA is not even trying to. He has no interest in scoring a bucket. He only has interest in trying to get to the free throw line. It got better as the game kind of went on, but I really, really hope these referees don't just reward this man for getting to the free throw line or trying to draw a foul. Make him earn it. If you're going to try to draw a foul, it's coming because of a natural basketball play. And frankly, it's not on SGA, even though I wish SGA just that wasn't in his DNA. But it's not on SGA to figure it out. It's on the referees to figure it out, but that was not an enjoyable watch. So SGA does win the MVP. Thunder at the Timberwolves. They play game 2 tonight, as I mentioned. I was reading this article this morning. For Minnesota, there is, if you watch game 1, and really the only player that you can look at and say, you know what, this is the guy that had a great game. Who would you say? Probably just Julius Randle. Julius Randle was probably the only player that you can look at after game 1. Let's see, why isn't this thing working? Julius Randle was really kind of the one that you could look at and say, okay, you know what, from a actual basketball perspective, not everybody played great, but the Oklahoma City Thunder just blew him out in the second half. Randle was the only guy that you thought played well. Everybody else, they only had 2 guys in double figures. They had Randle and Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards, awful game. 5 of 13 from the field, only 13 assists, 18 points, minus 23. Okay, let me move past all that. If Minnesota is going to make this a series, which I do think Thunder are going to win the series, let's see what Minnesota does. Let's see how they respond. They got a good team. Chris Finch is a good coach. They'll make their adjustments. But if they're going to win this series, this is how they're going to win the series. Very similar to how they beat the Lakers. Got to have 5-6 guys contributing. You have to. Jaden McDaniels only 7 points. Rudy Gobert had 2 points and 3 rebounds in game 1. Mike Conley only had 7. Nobody. Naz Reid off the bench was 1 of 11, 0 for 7 from the 3-point line with just 4 points. I mean, if they got any shot, here's the difference now for them. The difference for them is they played the Lakers. They had a huge size advantage. They played the Golden State Warriors. They had a huge size advantage. They played the Oklahoma City Thunder. Yeah, you don't have that size advantage. That size advantage is gone. Timberwolves points in the paint by playoff game. How crazy is this? And ESPN put an article out on this. The lowest amount of points they had points in the paint in the playoffs so far against the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors was 42. That came in game 4 against the Warriors. Game 5 against the Warriors, they had 72 points in the paint. Game 1 against the Thunder, they had 20. They couldn't do anything in the paint. And that is just the strength and one of the advantages that, obviously the Oklahoma City Thunder have. So that series, if this is going to be a series, they're going to have to be a lot better from that perspective. And, obviously we'll see what eventually happens, but series 1-0 OKC, and we'll see if anything changes on that front. All right, let me read a couple of the comments here, and then we'll keep things rolling here. Let me see what we got here. Read a couple of the comments, and then I want to start talking some Lakers. We'll go. Got a couple topics here that I want to hit on with the Lakers. Jokic had a career year, but SGA still took MVP. Yeah, it's weird in the NBA. The NBA, it's not necessarily who's the most valuable player. I think there comes a time, too, where they're like, yeah, we don't want to give it to the same guy. All right, one sec. All right, I got the, ability to mute here so that I could take care of some things. Jokic had a career. Yeah, that's if you really just look at the NBA as a whole, it doesn't necessarily come down to who's the best player. It's who hasn't won the MVP in a while. Are we giving it too much to the same player? If Jokic had never won an MVP, they'd probably give it to him. But SGA, let me tell you this, won 68 games this year, ended up beating the Nuggets in Game 7, potentially representing the Western Conference in the NBA Finals, led the league in scoring, had phenomenal stats. I got no problem with SGA winning it. MVP has nothing to do with the playoffs. It's what the players did in the regular season. You're right about that. You're right about that. It's what they did in the regular season. You're 100% right. 100% right about that. All right, let me see a couple more of these comments here. Let's see. Julius holding nothing down. They lost. Julius Randle's been phenomenal in the playoffs. I mean, I don't think you could ask much more from Julius Randle after game 1. He had 28 and 8. The question is going to be, does everybody else contribute? I've been really impressed with Julius Randle in the playoffs. I don't know how you guys have felt about Julius Randle. I think he's been really, really good in this postseason. Really, really good. Let's see what we got here. Excited to see what Rule will become. He's improved every year we have had him. All right, I'll come back to that. I'll start hitting on some of this Laker stuff. I actually got pretty decent Laker topics that I want to get into, but I did want to spend, the started show kind of hitting on these two NBA games that are going on, the East and the West, and then we'll start hitting on some of this stuff. Okay, speaking of, I got to talk about Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. By the way, I got my hoodie on. I need this hoodie. I need more of these hoodies. Phenomenal hoodie here. Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, kind of simplify it here. A partner here on the YouTube show, a partner here on the channel. Somebody that used to have me doing his advertising and doing his ads, his reads when I was at 710 ESPN. Continues wants to support me in the channel. He's doing it here. I'll try to simplify this as best as I can. I hope you never need an injury attorney. I hope you are a family member is not in a serious injury or a wrongful death case. But if you are, and things happen, then I got somebody for you. And it's Brad Wallace in the Wallace firm. He has been practicing for about 10 years. He can help anybody in the state of California. We do have a URL here, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If anything happens and you want more information or you want a free consultation, you could go to that website. You can also, if you'd like, hit me up with an email and I'll make a personal introduction to Brad Wallace. So there's a lot of, it's kind of an intimidating, daunting process. If you're ever in this situation, I'm sure you don't know what to do and you want a professional to help you. Brad Wallace and his team can take care of that. So you got a lot of, I know, probably options in the state of California of all these injury attorneys that are out there and billboards and things along those lines. I could tell you firsthand, and this is a personal relationship I have with Brad. He's one of the best in the business, and he'll be able to help you. So wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. We've talked about that Home Depot case a couple different times. He had a client just recently. This is within the last month or so. Brad had his closing arguments over down at the Van Nuys Courthouse in LA County. Jury delivered a $4.6 million verdict on behalf of the Wallace firm, found Home Depot responsible for nearly $3 million of that amount. I like giving real life examples. And like I said, real deal, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Okay. Let's get into a couple Laker topics. We'll tell you guys. I was didn't move for a couple of days. I was chilling for a couple of days. Let's just put it that way. All right, so I saw the story this morning. And granted, I was not I really wasn't looking up many NBA topics or Laker topics or anything like that these last couple of days. I saw this topic. Anthony Davis wears Mavs hat to Lakers practice facility in video at Clutch Pro Day. So they had their Clutch Pro Day, where executives, coaches around the NBA gathered to see some of these different players. And Anthony Davis was there, and he's rocking a Dallas Mavericks hat. This is, by the way, funny to me that that's kind of like the big story, like, oh my gosh, he's wearing a Mavs hat. I'm like, well, he plays for the Mavs. Yeah, but he's at the Lakers practice facility, and he's wearing a Mavs hat. Well, he got traded to Dallas. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I do like that people were, obviously looking at that like, oh my gosh, here's Anthony Davis. He's wearing this Mavs hat. Somebody had asked me this a couple weeks ago, and I never made it a topic. And then I thought about it today just because, anyways, we saw this story and everything else. So I'm like, you know what? Let's talk about this today. Let's pretend for a quick second AD was not traded to the Dallas Mavericks, and the Lakers played out the rest of this season as is. So the Lakers end up playing the rest of this season with Anthony Davis and with Max Christie. How far do you think this team would have gone? If we just pretend Anthony Davis, Max Christie, the rest of the crew, Austin Reeves, LeBron, everybody else, obviously that team was much more built as a team. They were more complete. You kind of had the right positions kind of sealed up. Jackson Hayes was a player that was coming off the bench. You still had Dorian Finney-Smith on the team. If they just walked into the NBA in the playoffs as a number 3 seed, and it was still AD and Max Christie with the rest of the crew, how far do you think they would have gone? So I'm thinking about this. I'm saying to myself, I'm like, okay, well, you got Minnesota in the first round. First off, Minnesota dominated the Lakers because of their size, because of their rebounding, because of their length. All that equalizes because AD is still there. You could still use Jackson Hayes as you need to. Max Christie, I think, is obviously from a defensive perspective in the backcourt would have been a much better asset for the Lakers than what they had in the playoffs. I actually think it would be a lot different for this playoff round. Now, I'll tell you what wouldn't happen. I don't think they're getting to the NBA Finals, and I don't think they're winning an NBA championship. So I don't think that's happening. But I do think that team would be much more dangerous than the team that the Lakers ended up with. Now, listen, we all understand why the Lakers made the trade. They didn't make a trade to compete for a championship this year. They made the trade because the idea was to compete for a championship for the next 5 years, right? 5, 8 years. I mean, let's see how long Luka's a Laker. and see what kind of team they could build around. So I don't question the trade. I think the trade was the right move. Obviously now it's going to be up to the front office to put together the right team and make sure that they put together a squad that makes sense and put together a squad that eventually is competing for an NBA championship. It's going to be up to Luka to make sure that he's got the best body as far as being ready to grind out 82 games and everything else that comes with that, and being in the best shape that he can be. But that team would have definitely gone further. I don't think they would have competed for a championship. Do I think they could have beat the Minnesota Timberwolves? Yeah, but I also think that would be a really good series. I think it could have gone either way. I think it's actually a really good series. The Golden State Warriors. Okay, the Warriors, if they're healthy, they got Jimmy Butler. I think they could have beat the Golden State Warriors, but again, I think that's a really good series. I don't know how much. Let's put it this way. If they got to all the way to the Western Conference Finals, and I don't think they're getting past the Oklahoma City Thunder, I just don't. I don't think they'd beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. But if that trade doesn't go down, yes, the team probably goes further. Definitely more a threat in the playoffs, but I don't think, a threat to the extent of they're hanging up banner number 18. I don't think that part's happening. Not that, obviously this is going to change anything at this point, but I do think that the team would have probably given themselves a much further chance of advancing than what this current roster did. Let's see what we got here. Slee, I think they would have battled into the Western Conference Finals, but in the end lost because AD would no doubt have gotten hurt. Yeah, and even if he didn't get hurt, I thought there was a ceiling to that roster as well. Thinking about it, Lakers probably still losing 6 or 7 games with AD. LeBron didn't show up in the fourth, and we know AD doesn't either. Yeah, the AD piece in the fourth quarter was never the best. Out in the second round, okay, so you end up losing to the Golden State Warriors. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. All right, some people talking about the whole hat thing. Yep, not good. Can't score a run, brother. Can't score a run. It's awful. Rui better than most Lakers on D. Let's see what we got here. Let me read a couple more here. Lakers probably aren't in the third seed if AD was out. Interesting, but maybe they actually go further in the playoffs. Yeah, seeding was never anything that kind of mattered for the Lakers, right? Seeding was never anything that mattered for the Lakers. It was more just get in the playoffs and then just go from there. AD would have went down in game 2. I know. People feel a certain way about, the AD portion of this. Do you guys see this story that came out? There was another story that came out. I saw this. This came out, I want to say, come out yesterday, I think it was. There's an article out here. Jason Gallagher, who's the producer of the Mind the Game podcast with LeBron and Steve Nash. He appeared on another podcast called The Dumb Zone and said that he heard from multiple people that Luka is cleaning slate and changing a lot about himself this summer. Let me read this quote to you. This, by the way, if this report is accurate, and I'm not 100% sure what it means, but I think this would make Laker fans feel a certain way, maybe a little bit more comfortable. Here's what he said. He said, I have heard from folks that are pretty honest about the conditioning stuff or whatever, that Luka has already begun to clean slate, starting anew. He's already in the mindset of changing a lot about himself. Now, I've heard it before, but not from specific people that have been critical of him. So it sounds like, maybe Luka already trying to get, this is kind of one of the topics that we talked about right when the season ended. If anybody thinks or if anybody feels that, hey, you know what, even if Luka is not in the best of shape, he's still dropping 38-8. He's fine. It's okay. I said this a couple times. I don't want to hear that excuse. I think Luka's got a responsibility. He's got a responsibility to be the best version of himself. And frankly, if I think part of the main reasons why he got traded from the Dallas Mavericks is I think the Dallas Mavericks gave up on him, thinking that, listen, we probably got the best of him. Whether you agree or disagree with that, I would disagree with that. They probably thought they got the best of him. They also think that as far as his conditioning goes and a couple of the injuries that he was having, it was based on not being in the best shape or too much weight or anything else. I said this when he initially got traded. If this is not a wake-up call for Luka, then guys, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe Luka's just going to be – this is going to be the best shape that he's in, and that's it. You're just going to have to accept the fact that, yeah, he can drop 38 and 8 on you on any given night, but at the same time, he doesn't take his body seriously. He just doesn't. I mean, Michael Thompson came on, if you guys remember, right after the trade. Michael Thompson, like, yeah, he's fat. Yeah, and this is a guy – Michael, I remember Michael used to always say about NBA players, and this is what he would tell Klay Thompson. Klay, certainly one of the guys in the league that you never question, hey, is this guy in shape? Is he not in shape? Anything along those lines. One of the things that he would tell him is like, listen, your body for athletes and for NBA players, your body is everything. That's your office. And based upon what you look like and what your diet is and how much sleep that you're getting, are you going out or are you deciding I'm not going to go out, I'm going to stay in? Look at guys like Kobe and that were in the league for a while, and they're just LeBron, and they're crazy about their body. And that to me was always going to be the question with Luka. If that wake-up call wasn't there after the Dallas Mavericks traded him, I don't know what the wake-up call is going to be. So this quote coming, obviously, like I said, this is somebody that is the producer of the LeBron and Steve Nash podcast, says that he's heard. He's pretty honest about the condition stuff or whatever, that Luka has already begun to clean slate, starting anew. He's already in the mindset of changing a lot about himself. Now, I've heard it before, but not from specific people that have been critical of him. You don't think the Lakers are sitting back right now and they're kind of begging in their own head, Luka, if you want to be a champion, if you want to be potentially a Laker legend, if you want to take your game to another level, if you want to be an MVP, if you want to compete for multiple, finals runs and everything else with the Lakers, you got to be the best version of yourself. And I think if anybody is saying that he's the best version of himself as is, I think we're kind of BSing each other, to be honest with you. So let me read some of the comments here, and then we could take it from there. All right, let's see what let's see what you guys got here. Let's see. A lot of Rui talk. Luka will be less motivated, not more. He had a championship team, and now he's supposed to work harder for a roster that has no chance. Ain't going to happen. Well, here's the thing. I think for Luka, I think there's only going to be so much of the criticism that goes towards him. So let me give you an example. If hypothetically this summer, or no, let's just go back to the Lakers, losing in the second round or in the first round, they lost in 5 games. Are people putting the blame on Luka? I don't think people are putting the blame on Luka. I think people are putting the blame on Austin Reeves. They're putting blame on JJ Redick. They're putting blame on Rob Pelinka for not making that trade for Mark Williams. They're putting blame on, they're putting blame on a lot of other people before they're putting it on Luka Doncic. So I think for Luka, even if he doesn't win an NBA championship with the Lakers, I mean, I have here on one of my topics kind of projecting for Luka, what the next 5 years could potentially look like for the Lakers. I mean, look, the expectations come instantly with the Lakers. But a lot of that Luka can't really control. A lot of that is going to be based on Rob Pelinka and the front office putting together a team. The only thing Luka can control is, I'm going to make sure my body is in the absolute best shape possible. I'm going to make sure that I get every ounce of my body and my skill set. And the only other thing that he can really control is maybe putting pressure on the organization if he doesn't feel like things are going the right way. So I don't think Luka's going to be less motivated. I mean, Luka 100%. Kind of, the guy was thrown to the curb partially because he's not in the best shape. That doesn't wake you up. I don't know what is. All right, let me get a couple more of these in here. Let's see what else we got here. Let me find a couple more here. By the way, if I'm not on my A game today, let me tell everybody, I'm not feeling on my A game. I can't shake this cold. I can't shake this damn thing away. My throat feels like there's a battle going on in there. There's a battle going on there. Rui did start the season with the best rebounding I've ever seen him. Not sure why he stopped, but we know LeBron loves getting his stats. Okay? Shaq wasn't in top shape, but the Lakers still made it work. Angelo, here's, I think, the difference there. The difference there is, remember, Shaq was getting a lot of criticism for years. When he was with the Lakers, it took him 4 years before they finally won an NBA championship. So I think for Shaq, there was, and then once they started winning, then they didn't stop winning. He got to 4 finals in 5 years. They won 3 NBA championships. If you told me that Luka was winning championships with the Lakers, I don't think anybody, maybe they're going to say that, all right, well, actually, no, Shaq had a theory. Shaq's theory was, I'm going to use the NBA season to get in shape. And if that's Luka's kind of way of doing this, well, then you better be cashing in finals appearances and so forth. Again, not all of this is on him because the team was just put together. But I do think that, Luka being a guard and the way the game is played today, he should be in better shape, period. Luka probably drinking a beer with Joker as we speak. That could be happening. That could definitely be happening. AD Luka trade was a testament to the Lakers' mantra, championship or bust. Maybe not the best trade for this year, but we wouldn't have won anyways. Glad we pushed our chips. I agree with you on that. That's a very accurate statement there. I 100% agree with you on that. I think there's definitely a portion of this that, hey, this is what the team does. They felt like we are not winning another championship with LeBron and AD. So if we could trade that, and obviously walk away, I guarantee when the season started, they didn't think they were going to have a chance at Luka. If they could change that, they did, and they didn't hesitate. Slee's flu game. You're right. This is it. Playing through it here. I got to, by the way, I got to tell you guys all the things that I ended up watching over these last couple of days. I watched a lot of things. By the way, that's, what else do you do when you're not feeling good? I mean, I don't know what else to do. I don't have anything else to do. All right, let me read a couple more of these, and then I got one other topic that I want to get into. Luka does come in shape most training camps, but gets out of shape during the season. That's pretty bad lack of motivation. Yeah, if you're in the NBA season and your shape is getting worse as you go, that's not a good sign. That's definitely not a good sign. I saw something, it was kind of crazy. I put out a video. I want to be, I don't have an angle on LeBron. Okay. I think some people are I hope he's off the team. And then you got other people that are like, you got people that just absolutely love LeBron. You got people that absolutely hate LeBron. I mean, I don't have a passion either way for LeBron. He's one of the greatest players I've ever watched play the game. And I've enjoyed watching him play basketball. And I could leave it at that. Now, if you want to say, like, hey, are you sick of it? Are you sick of him being the face of the NBA? Okay, sure. Yeah, that's fair. That's 22 years. That's a lot of LeBron time. Brian Windhorst had a quote here. He was on the Dan Patrick Show. I'm going to read this here for everybody, and then I'm going to go to a topic that I had last week. I'm going to read some of the comments off of it because I thought it was interesting. Windhorst on the Dan Patrick Show. He said, I would never cement it just because the Lakers are pivoting a little bit now. Not a little bit. They've pivoted to Luka. And so that makes their medium-term future a little bit harder to predict. But LeBron has demonstrated repeatedly, time after time after time, his priority is to be a Laker and to live in Los Angeles. Unless the Lakers did something to him to change the way he feels about them, which is not their MO, I don't see that happening. Basically, he's saying that Windhorse is predicting, or not predicting, but he's just assuming LeBron's going to come back with the Lakers, and that's it. You know, he'll sign probably another extension with the Lakers, do another 1+1, and go from there. I did a video on Friday. I think Friday, remember I was down at Harris Resort. I did a video. And I ended up taking that. I had a topic, and then I ended up taking that specific topic, and I started talking about LeBron. I got to read you guys some of the comments here, okay? But long story short, here was my topic. There was Nick Wright had an article, or was on Colin Cowherd's, basically saying, hey, he should go back to Cleveland. This is right after Cleveland got eliminated. And I asked Laker fans, how would Lakers feel about it if he left? You know, like, that's it. The chapter ends. Bron goes back to Cleveland, and this is kind of how he ends his career. He doesn't finish his career with the Lakers. I got to be honest with everybody. Not that I don't think I'm shocked by it, but damn, does it feel like there are a lot of Laker fans. More Laker fans than not that are like, cool, ready to turn the page. Bron's going where? Cool, sounds good. Yeah. So you're building 100% around Luka? Awesome, let's get started. And this is, this obviously is, this is a player that's still playing at top 10 in the NBA, top 15 in the NBA. I think before he got injured in that Celtics game, I think he was playing top 7, top 8 in the league. Still doing things that you can't really understand and explain. Still helping the Lakers win games. Still helping the Lakers get to 50 wins. And I felt like there were a lot of Laker fans that were like, cool. So, yeah, he's interested in Cleveland. Awesome. Go make it happen. Let me read you guys some of these comments here. I guess I'm not overly shocked or surprised, but sometimes I think it just hits me across the face. So let me just show you guys this, my video here. It's good facial expression now. Here's, should LeBron go back to Cleveland? How would Laker fans feel about it? So you go down here, the comments. 163 comments, by the way. That's a ton of comments. That's basically people like they have an opinion on this. From a Lakers fan and a diehard Kobe fan, I say please leave and go wherever you want. I wouldn't mind, dude. Tired of the LeBron era. What's most important, LeBron, is padding stats and attention. He can do that in Cleveland or anywhere else. Goodbye. As a Laker, I would love for him to go back to Cleveland. The Lakers have no future with him. Get him out. If I were LeBron, I would do the same thing that he did when he took us down to Miami. The same thing that Kevin Durant did to the Warriors, and go back to Cleveland because they are healthy. They have a championship caliber team. We trade Bronny for a Raptors cheerleader. Can I say something funny or just on that? That's the first one that's actually kind of like, hey, let me look at this from Bron's perspective. Truthfully, the Lakers failed to build around LeBron and Anthony Davis for too many years. As a Laker fan, I'd be upset if he left and signed a minimum with another team and did not give the Lakers a chance to build with him on a minimum. If he left and signed a max somewhere, it wouldn't bother me as much. Let me read one more here. I like what Nick Wright said. It's actually a perfect idea for him to have a farewell tour in Cleveland next year. I'm cool with it as long as we can pull off Giannis. The Giannis thing probably not going to happen. Here's the point that I'm trying to make here, and here's why I read this here. I read this because I think the vibe from a lot of Laker fans out there is like, cool, well, the AD chapter is over. All right, when's the LeBron chapter done? And I get it both ways. I completely understand. I completely understand if the Lakers tomorrow, their rebuilding process around Luka is 100%. It starts with Luka, and everything is now, every decision is made with just Luka in mind, and really, you figure it out from there. Okay, that's not a bad thing. I don't know if I could do 2 more years with LeBron. If he's back for 1 more year, it's like, okay, hey, that one still makes sense. He's still playing at a high level. But I get it. I understand it. Like, I understand where people are coming from. And I also understand, like I said, if he went back to the Cavs tomorrow, I don't know how much sleep I'm losing over it. It's like, okay, well, he's been with the Lakers now for 7 years. There has been, so many, we talked a little bit about this, the wild ups and downs. That's kind of one of my frustrations with the Lakers right now is they haven't been able to build anything sustainable. They're just this wild stock where you have no idea, what it's going to be on a night in, night out basis. So do I think LeBron's going to go anywhere? I don't. But what I find fascinating is how many Laker fans are like, that's it. We're done. Ready to move on. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. I wish there were more Laker fans, and there probably is, that were more respectful to Bron and his 7 years in LA. I don't know. I don't know what that percentage is. I'm respectful to LeBron. I think LeBron did help change the franchise around. But at this stage, I think there are a lot of people that are ready to, all right, let's move on and let's call it a day. And they're primarily ready to move on too because Luka is here. And frankly, if he wasn't here, then there'd just be a lot of bitching and complaining of like, well, what are we doing with this team? What's the future look like? I think that would have been there either way. Okay, let's take a look at a couple of comments, and then we'll get to wrapping up the show. He's good for his age, but because of how good he was, he feels entitled and thinks he can take plays off, and the team sees this and falls suit, so it ends up hurting us more than helping us. Yeah, I think when he takes plays off, that's telling you that he's 40 years old and he's trying to just keep some gas in the tank. That's how I would look at it. Trying to do everything he can to keep some gas in the tank. All right, let's get a couple more in here. They're stuck with LeBron for the next 2 years, whichever way you look at it. You might be right, by the way. I mean, I think at least 1 year, but you might be right. Bron's old, can't deliver anymore. We're here expecting the GOAT to do GOAT things, and he can't. He can have GOAT moments. He just can't do things on a consistent basis. Let's hope Luka is as petty as we think he is. Dallas, new guy, flag. Everyone is talking him up. He's got plenty of motivation for next year. Cooper Flag. How the hell did he end up in Dallas? They get the number one pick. All right, I'll read a couple more of these as we look to wrap up the show. I can tell you guys what I basically watched over the last couple of days. By the way, right now, today, I'm probably going at 36%. 36%. I had to get back up here. I'm like, I gotta get back and get a show in. But when we're done with this show, I might be done for the rest of the day. All right, here's what I watched the last couple of days. So I was sick for a couple of days here. I don't know what you guys do when you're sick. Back in the days, when I was a kid and I'd miss school, it was like I watched Price is Right 48 times. Well, now, we got the technology is different here. Now we can watch whatever we want. Here, let me tell you what the hell I've been watching, okay? If you guys got any suggestions of some good stuff to watch today, throw them in and let me know what suggestions you have. Because I don't know how useful I'm going to be after this show today. The Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio. Have you guys seen that? Really, really good movie. I watched that. That was 2.5 hours. That was like, yeah, no problem. We'll get 2.5 hours in. Catch Me If You Can. I don't know why I went DiCaprio, but I went Catch Me If You Can. It's an old movie, early 2000s, DiCaprio and Tom Hanks. Phenomenal. I'd never seen it before. Revenant I had seen, but I hadn't seen in a while. So anyways, got those two in. Started watching part of I don't know how the hell I got started in this. These documentaries, I'm watching so many different documentaries right now. There was a documentary on Chernobyl. I want to watch that series on HBO. So I was like, okay, well, let me educate myself a little bit more on this thing. Some of the documentaries on Chernobyl, what the hell? The hell happened over there? Granted, this was 40 years ago. I'm already nervous about it. 30-something years ago. What else did I watch? Anthony Edwards, top 50 plays. Yeah, he's ridiculous. I watched some other documentaries. I'm watching everything. You guys got some suggestions for me. Throw them out there. Okay, somebody said no Food Network. Here's why I didn't watch any Food Network. Because everything I'm watching is on YouTube anyways. So, I don't need to watch Food Network. I know what you're talking about. Diners, drive-ins, and dives. He was actually just on Joe Rogan. Guy Fieri was just on Joe Rogan. Pretty good show. I listened to it last week. I can watch so many different food channels and food shows and all that stuff on YouTube. So that's one reason why I didn't go Food Network. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, so HBO's on. Maybe I need to do that. Maybe I need to watch this one. Maybe I need to watch the whole series on HBO, the Chernobyl one. Probably not doing that. Probably not doing that. Okay, I got Paradise on Hulu. Okay, interesting one. Netflix, Brett Favre just dropped. Okay, that could be an interesting one. I might get into that one. Let's see what else we got here. Watch The Last of Us. Check out Vivarium. Okay, you guys helped me out here a little bit. So I'll just kind of hold on to these and I'll figure out what I'm watching. Yeah, I've been, let's just say, not that much effort coming out of Slee these last couple of days. All right, I'll have to watch some of these and go from there. All right, my people. Thank you for hanging out. I'll be back tomorrow morning. And hopefully by tomorrow morning we're back. Got to get back here. Kate B, appreciate you making time for us. Definitely Michelle. Yes, I understand. I'm feeling. Thank you. Appreciate that, Kate. Kate, you're awesome. Thank you for the super as well. Very, very nice of you. Thank you very much. There's one on Fukushima. I started watching that and then I lost it. I went back to the game and then I tried coming back and I lost it. So I'll have to watch it. All right, my people. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for the supers. I appreciate it. We'll try to make it happen tomorrow. All right, my people. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.